hit that subscribe button. I had an excellent meeting last night, Masters Night, in Amherstburg, Ontario. It was a real pleasure to be there. In the meantime, I hope everybody's doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them as we experience technical difficulties, of course. Let's give this a moment or two. All right, let's go to the channel then. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Again, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, just a $2 super chat. I don't know how many legless Freemasons you know, but okay. I'll take being anyone's favorite anything. It would mean more to me if you gave a super chat of just $2, but hey, I'll still take the compliment. Well, we made it. We survived. No civilizations were annihilated or wiped off the face of the earth last night or destroyed, which is a good thing. We want everybody to stick around. As again, I mentioned, a lot of people don't realize it. There is a lot of Freemasonry in the Middle East, and a lot of Freemasons, a lot of families of Freemasons would have been at great risk. So we're happy, knock on wood, that cooler heads prevailed. I guess we'll see what happens. But I've talked about this a lot on this stream. There is much more Freemasonry in the Middle East than people realize. Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, there's the Grand Lodge of Iran in Exile, there's Freemasonry on military bases. So we're happy that everybody's doing okay. We want everybody to continue doing, and we want this 2-week ceasefire to continue. I think everybody does. Beyond the 2 weeks, we don't want anybody else being hurt. All right, we're gonna give it a bit of time. We're gonna wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral in general, let me know. Today, after the first 60 minutes, my plan was to read a proclamation or declaration from Windsor City Hall and the Windsor Mayor regarding my lodge, Border Cities Lodge number 554. I read this out last night in Amherstburg. I'm going to read it out again very shortly. Well, after 60 minutes, shall I say. The world is a better place with everybody in it, including those in the Middle East, including those in North America, including those in South America, including those in Asia, Europe, wherever it might be, Africa, Australia. Once we start deciding what makes, what people make the world better, what people make the world worse, especially once we start making those decisions based on race or ethnicity or language, that's a very dangerous thing to do. It's a very dangerous idea to have, so. For the time being, we're just going to wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So this channel in general is about Freemasonry and promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located and turning my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. However, today's stream, we're going to talk about Border Cities Lodge, particularly a mayoral or Windsor City Proclamation from 2023 concerning my Masonic Lodge, Border Cities Lodge number 554, one of my 5 Masonic lodges. Well, but that's, I think, a unique feature of the Middle East geography, not the people therein. One of my favorite quotes about it comes from The West Wing. It's very hot and there's very little water. It's a place that everybody was constantly passing through for a variety of reasons. It's also a place that has a ton of natural resources. It's also a place that, so it has a ton of natural resources, yet it's terribly inhospitable. I don't mean that in an emotional sense. I'm sure many people look at countries like that and view them as incredibly beautiful, as they are, but I mean in terms of it's incredibly hot. There's not a lot of water. You need desalinization plants. It's naturally, the geography of it kind of makes it more prone, I think, to conflict than other places. I'm Canadian, lad life. I'm born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor. I'm from Canada, which is always will be Canada. By the way, you guys in America get plenty of snow too. Just depends on where you're at. But Michigan, Montana, Minneapolis or Minnesota, New York, basically everywhere north of, I don't know. I was going to say North Carolina, but even North Carolina gets snow sometimes, I believe. I've been to England a few times, lad life. It's a beautiful state, beautiful country, excuse me. Within the United Kingdom, all of the United Kingdom is beautiful. I've been to both England and Scotland, and they're both incredible. So people think of Freemasonry as a fraternity. Historically, I would have always said Freemasonry is a fraternity. However, it's more of a civic club, but it does have plenty of organizations and involvement with women. We have the Eastern Star, we have Order of Women Freemasons. Some jurisdictions even have co-masonry. So the biggest part of Freemasonry is fraternal, but it is not exclusively for men. Um, I find that doesn't happen very often. 14 words. A lot of people, I think, because Canadians are traveling pretty frequently now, or who knows, maybe it's just whatever it is. I find I never really got mistaken for American that often. People might ask me where I'm from, but they wouldn't say, are you from America? They would just ask where I'm from in general. Um, and I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. Um, I love Canada, greatest country in the world. I think every Mason should view their country as the greatest country in the world. But having said that, I am also think we have the greatest neighbors in the world. So there you go. Zebulu, I just met my soulmate. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. Um, Big Lang Guapo, I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. I would be much appreciative. And let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. I'd consider just a $2 super chat to help a brother out. Hello, Shivam. Thank you for being here. We are also a member of the British Empire in Canada and proud of it. Grateful for my British roots. By the way, I'm still working on getting my British citizenship. The problem is I need two references from England to sign off on it. They can't be family members, which is a problem because I can't use my cousins or my family. I need to use. So I've got a couple Masons I'm talking to. Um, Good day, Elmine. Thank you for being here. It's going well, icosahedron. I've been a Mason for just about 20 years. I joined in 2007, so about 19 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. Um, nothing made me join. You want to be really careful with the language, right? Freemasonry, you need to join of your own free will and accord. I chose to join primarily because my dad was a Mason, my grandparents were Masons, grandfathers, I should say, and that kind of just encouraged me to give it a shot. And I realized I'd be staying in Windsor for a little bit, so I figured why not see how it goes. What made me join, I don't think, is nearly as important though as what made me stay as a Freemason. And that's because there's something about Freemasonry that it turns out I loved. It's no different than listen to your favorite song. Two people can listen to the exact same song, have completely different experiences with it. Freemasonry is the same way. Two people can both go to a Masonic meeting. One person can love it, one person can hate it. Um, what's cooking? Right now, I'm just chatting about Freemasonry, as you know. Unfortunately, I mean, when you say it isn't all that good for Asia and Africa, know they're going through their problems, very significant problems and issues, but every country is struggling right now, especially with, the issue isn't just oil prices. In some cases right now, it's a lack of availability of oil or a lack of availability of gas due to the Iran conflict. Hopefully, with the ceasefire, that lack of product, lack of availability will ease up in many of these countries, but we'll see. I contacted them. I'm waiting to hear back from them. One person did respond, thankfully, and said I could use them as a reference and gave me their info, but I'm still waiting on one more person. So, my favorite sport, professional wrestling. Hello, Cyber Potato. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope that you're doing well. I mean, British colonial past. Oh, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, a lot of, I mean, to be perfectly fair, there's a lot of parts of Canada's British colonial past that isn't so great either. But like everything, you kind of have to take the bad with the good. Um, yeah, I would disagree with that, but okay. I think, like, the world is what it is at present. We kind of have to accept what the world is. It doesn't help us at all to start fighting necessarily against it, but I think we can also recognize the history of the world and recognize that for many of these countries around the world, the colonization hurt a lot of people and harmed a lot of people, without a doubt. There are French speaking people in Canada. I mean, yeah, specifically in Quebec, without a doubt, but not exclusively in Quebec. There's French speaking people here in Windsor, French speaking people throughout Canada. There's a very large French speaking population in Manitoba and St. Boniface. That's one of the reasons I'm always arguing that we as Freemasons should communicate in multiple languages or diversity of languages with our membership, with written content. I was really proud as a Freemason when I was working hard to ensure that we had a message in both English and French in the Harmony summons. And that's something I was really grateful for. And if you live in a city or community where, let's say, you have a significant Spanish speaking population, maybe include messaging in Spanish. If you uh, live in a place where, let's say, you have significant First Nations or a significant First Nations population, um, it might be worth looking at, can you provide some language and communication in your summons in a indigenous language and try to do your part to preserve that. I did notice, for example, the Artemis 2 mission, as it was, I believe, as it was heading towards the moon before it started its return course, the Canadian astronaut gave a message in both English and French. I know that seems like a small thing, but it's not. I think the diversity of language is one of the things that makes Canada truly great, that makes humanity truly great. And to hear French being spoken in space, I think for the first time ever, certainly towards the moon for the first time ever. Probably not. They're probably International Space Station. But to hear French being spoken on, its way to the moon in as deep of space as humans have ever traveled to, I think is pretty incredible. And I thought it was awesome to see. 14 words. I have no idea what people laugh at and what people don't. I mean, I know it's different dialects, like French, French speakers from France and French speakers from Quebec. I know they could understand each other, but they have different accents. It's no different than an English speaker from Canada versus an English speaker from Scotland, right? We can understand each other in theory, despite some very different accents. Shivam, if you have to ask that, may I suggest that you speak to the police because maybe you have some things you need to confess. Otherwise, don't harm anybody because you will leave traces behind, and sooner or later, if not in a year, if not in 10 years, maybe in 20 years, you will be caught. So don't hurt people. How's about that? I don't speak French. I wish I did. So I guess I'm being a bit of a hypocrite. However, I still do my best to promote French. We have a lot of French speakers in our lodge. And so, again, when I was secretary and worshipful master, one of the things I did is I tried to ensure we had messaging in both English and French on our summons. And we had French speakers who could confirm. I've also had many Masonic meetings and events where I've had English and French interpretation as well as American Sign Language interpretation, which I was grateful for as well. I've I've never been to Glasgow. I've been to Edinburgh, and yeah, the accent was pretty thick. The accent was pretty thick, but I still was able to understand it. Oh, I know what it means, null and void. I think his name is terrible. I think most of his ideas are pretty terrible, but I'm not going to ban him from the stream because maybe the ideas of universal tolerance and brotherhood and understanding of what Freemasonry actually is and what it promotes, which is the opposite of that 14 words bullshit. Maybe that will speak to his heart. Who knows? Anything's possible. Um, I think many do, which I think is awesome, by the way. Um, I think if you are going to be serving the government of Canada, or the people of Canada, then it makes sense that you be able to speak both official languages. Not in every not in every government job, obviously, but I think as a general rule, it makes sense. Um, the weights, well, I don't want to leave Freemasonry, so I do not accept your recommendation. Um, very sorry to disappoint you. Oh, so a Geordie. Welcome, high heeled happy. Um, well, you're not a monster, but you're wrong about most things, 14 words, probably about everything with a name like that. You should not love your people, you should love people. Loving your people is stupid. Loving people is a good thing. Because there is no such thing as your people or my people, there's people. There's human beings, and we should love and respect all of them. I don't care where they come from. I don't care what I don't care what they believe. I don't care their skin color. I don't care their race. I don't care their religion. They're people, and therefore you should love them. Or at the very least, you should not hate them because they're not your people. Big Lang. I mean, that's a question. I don't know. You need to define Big Lang what you mean by matters, um, or what you mean by matter, because they matter but not in the sense that a lot of conspiracy theorists think. They knowing the secrets of Freemasonry, it doesn't make you rich, it doesn't make you famous, it doesn't make you powerful, it doesn't give you secret access to, special roads that get you to work faster or whatever. It's things like that. They matter because they bond you to your brothers. There's two ways to create bonds: through shared experiences or through shared knowledge. And the secrets of Freemasonry, it's a type of shared knowledge and shared information, and in some ways, a shared experience, the way you get that information. And as a consequence of that, they matter in that sense. They matter quite a bit in that sense. Now, um, the the they are definitely symbolic, without a doubt. I mean, Freemasonry, even the non-secretive things, the non-private things, are symbolic by nature, right? Like this here, right? These are all like this is symbolic, and it's not a secret. It's just wearing compasses, right? All of these symbols, the 47 problem of Euclid, it's symbolic of something. Um, Freemasonry, by its nature, very often uses symbols as a way to demonstrate. Most Freemasons would say moral truths. I think ethical truths is the better view to have of it, as opposed to moral. But I think either way, they demonstrate truth symbolically. Love from Libby. I agree. Yeah, I think when you say loving your people, it puts you in this weird box of there's my people and there's your people. There's just people, right? Why put yourself in that box? That's dumb. When I think of a good future 500 years from now, I think of a future filled with human beings. I'm not thinking of a future filled with a particular type of human being or a particular type of look. I think that's dumb and foolish. Um, do you provide Freemasons for housework? No. No, if you want, I mean, I'm sure there are some Freemasons whose job it is to do housework. Welcome, Freemason from India. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Akash, please like and subscribe. I mean, or a Western country using Nazi slogans like a jackass. Well, yeah, I mean, nobody, I don't care where you're from, should be using Nazi slogans because the Nazis are horrible people. At the same time, again, if the purpose of this channel is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, and if it's a way to maybe in some sense promote why Freemasonry is important, one of the reasons it's important is because it pushes back against foolish ideology and foolish slogans that encourage division and hatred. But to do that, I need people who believe those things to push against and try to maybe demonstrate why they're wrong using Masonic ethical principles. So who knows, maybe 14 words will realize the error of his ways, the error of his beliefs, and decide he wants a future in which he promotes the idea of people, not his people. No worries, Big Lang. I mean, keep in mind when I'm answering these questions, I'm answering these questions from my perspective, not from a Masonic perspective, right? So what I say is me speaking personally. It's not meant to represent any Masonic lodge or Masonic body. I don't think you do. I highly doubt that. But if you do, you can always get those tattoos removed, right? I've known many people who, well, I shouldn't say many, but I worked in a jail for a while. I was a probation officer. I knew people who had um, very not good views, and over time they changed their opinions. Maybe something happened that caused them to change their opinions or whatever it is. And in a couple cases, they had gang tattoos or other types of tattoos removed or drawn over. Hello from Liverpool. Because you had the laughing emojis next to it, which makes me think you were joking. But if you weren't, you can get that tattoo removed. I would recommend you do so. or get it drawn over or whatever it might be. Treat it like an ex-girlfriend's name and get a new tattoo over top of it, um, which represents something healthier. Michael Kennedy, hello from Windsor, Ontario. Welcome from Liverpool. Great to have some more people here from England. Jonathan, most religions would argue that, if not that precisely, something like that. And I think there's probably some truth to it. I'm not religious myself, but I definitely think it is the case. Well, maybe one day you'll have a change of heart. I hope you will, because living with hatred like that is not helpful or healthy for anybody, and is not making the world a better place. Freddie Mercury was not a Freemason, to my knowledge. I do think, Jonathan, is probably a type of judgment that happens. What that looks like precisely, I don't know, but I could see something like. I think certainly at the end of the day, every day there's a judgment that takes place when we look at ourselves in the mirror, and we have to ask ourselves: are we living in such a way as to make the world a better place, or to make the world a worse place? To make the people around us have a better life or a worse life? And I would hope that we would be able to say that on every day-to-day moment, we make we make the lives of those around us and our communities better. Not Elton John either. This, to my knowledge, this whole idea of Freemasons being super active within the uh, entertainment industry, specifically the music industry, is just not, in my experience, the case at all. It does happen, like, Brad Paisley's a Freemason, for example, but it's rare that celebrity equals Freemason. Hello, Lee Annie Feltham's channel. Freemasonry is not a political entity, right? There are left-wing Freemasons, right-wing Freemasons, everything in between. Certainly, though, I would say from an ethical standpoint, there is within Freemasonry, if not a teaching, kind of a representation of the value of diversity, or at least the value of tolerance, because Freemasonry is not discriminating based on one's race, based on one's religion, based on one's language, mother language, based on one's skin color, based on one's political beliefs. So you can't help but take a lesson in there that there's a benefit to judging people by their actions, not by how they look or how they talk. So why did you say you were a Freemason, Akash? You got to be careful about that. Lying about being a Freemason is not cool. People do it all the time. And it's one of those things where you just need to be a little bit better and a little bit more responsible. But that's a good object lesson to everybody watching this, which is just because someone says they're a Freemason doesn't mean it's necessarily the case. You still need to do your due diligence, and be responsible. Well, you should not do that either. It's not stolen valor. I'm not a big fan of that term. I mean, because stolen valor refers to pretending to be in the military. And if you're pretending to be in the military, I think that's a far more egregious pretension than claiming to be a Freemason. That's truly stolen valor. Having said that, it's not a nice thing to do, and it's kind of a cruel thing to do, to pretend to be something you're not. Um, Well, if you want to join Freemasons, you need to find a Masonic lodge in your area and approach them. Go to the Grand Lodge of India. They have a website where they provide you with information about the closest Masonic lodge. And then you need to take the first step by um, approaching the Masonic lodge. You can send them an email, give them a call, write them a letter, and ask to speak with them about the next steps. No, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, just no, that's not how it works. Freemasons, if you're pretending to be a Freemason, it's not RIP. It's just kind of a not nice thing to do. But we're not going to run around harming people for pretending to be a Freemason. It's just, it is what it is. There's nothing much you can do about it. That's just why we as Freemasons need to be on our guard and be careful and be safe as much as possible about not making assumptions automatically. Greetings, Courtney. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, as always, for being here. I hope you'll take a moment to hit the like button and thank you for joining. And I'm glad once again you got your bookmark. Well, I think it's not that stone makes up all things, obviously, that's silly. Although you could argue at the most base level, the minerals within us. I mean, calcium is a type of stone, or it's a mineral that can become a stone. Carbon, I think, can turn into stone as well. Um, all right, 14 words. But, the biblical clay as well. Some people argue that's a type of stone, right? They say Nimrod was the first stonemason. But I think on a more metaphorical level, it is absolutely the case that, and without a doubt, that stone was the critical material for human evolution. The development of stone tools is what allowed us to grow our diet, to get more protein, which allowed us to advance in evolution, combined with it was stone structures that allowed for permanent settlements in agriculture. It was stone on which we carved our understanding of the world, language that has been used and preserved for millennia. They were used for religious structures, for worship, for calendars. And stone continues to exist 2, 3, 4,000, 5,000 years, millions of years if you count stone tools. So there's no doubt that it is stone that is maybe the integral part of kind of what it means to be human or what it means for human history. Um, Even some animals use stone tools, like otters will bash shellfish on rocks, for example. So we've known animals outside of humans who have used stone tools. No, they do not get links with Freemasons. To be a stonemason is a profession. To be a Freemason is to be part of a civic club or civic group. But there could be people who are both stonemasons and Freemasons. That can absolutely be the case. I mean, I don't think anybody should live in a paper house, obviously. You can be of any religious faith and join Freemasonry. You can be Christian, pious, or otherwise. You can be Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Jewish, whatever it might be, and join. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. However, um, the nature of the supreme being is up to you. No, boom, 2020. Freemasonry is not a religion of any sort, including it is not satanic. So very sorry to disappoint. Again, Freemasonry does not discriminate against one's religious beliefs. I mean, I can't speak to Abdul Kader. I can say that in most jurisdictions, the understanding, and certainly recognized jurisdictions, the understanding is you must believe in a supreme being. When you talk about atheists or atheism, it gets complicated because, like, some people consider me an atheist, though I wouldn't consider myself an atheist. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. But there are some lodges that are a bit more strict about what they consider an acceptable supreme being in terms of, certainly the big three, indigenous, Hindu, Sikh, those will all count. But there are even some Masonic groups in different parts of the world. they're called liberal orders that do accept atheists, though it's much more rare. Hello, Carol. Good to see you. Satan is not the supreme being I believe in because I know what I believe in. My belief is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. Or do you mean what if like somebody joins and they claim that their supreme being is Satan? Is that what you mean? If that's what you mean, I've never met a satanic Freemason. I had one person who called the Masonic Lodge, claimed he was a Satanist, and asked about joining Freemasonry. After I spoke with him about Freemasonry, he decided he did not want to join because, in his view, the views of Satanism and Freemasonry were incompatible. The main issue being his supreme being was himself personally. It wasn't something outside of himself in some way. And, generally speaking, within Freemasonry, there's a general understanding that the supreme being can't be you, has to be something beyond you. Having said that, I mean, I've never met one. It wouldn't shock me if a lodge would allow a satanic somebody who's satanic to be a Freemason. I've never met one or seen it. It doesn't seem like the two kind of ethical systems are compatible. But lodges themselves have to do an investigation process. They have to ask that question, and they have to determine what they think is an appropriate answer to it. I don't know what infernal geometry is, null and void, but I know what eternal geometry is, or sacred geometry, but never infernal. Yes, the organization is interfaith and non-dogmatic. I wouldn't even use the term interfaith because faith implies a specific religious belief. I would say interbelief. What about your superego? Can that be your higher power? I don't know, Fred. You'd have to ask the lodge and let the lodge decide. What I always suggest when it comes to these questions, people asking um, okay, this is what I believe. Is that acceptable? This is what I believe. Is that acceptable? My answer is always let the lodge decide. Let the lodge decide. Speak to the lodge, explain what you believe. Be honest about what you believe. Don't try to sugarcoat it or change it. Just be direct and honest. And let the lodge itself decide in terms of what it is that, if they're willing to accept that. Don't do the job for them. Absolutely. It's their job to determine what is an acceptable belief in a supreme being. It's their job to determine if your criminal record, if you have one, is acceptable or not acceptable. It's not your job. By the way, Mr. Keeps, you gave me a $10 super chat to get me some medications, which I much appreciate. I need to send you some coins, which I will be doing. Some of those foreign coins. By the way, also, if you do any super chat over $2, you will hear your super chat text to speech. So give it a shot. We don't hurt children. We don't hurt anybody. Terrace, Allen, somebody is looking at a bunch of nonsense conspiracy theories online. We have many windows in Masonic buildings. They're mostly kept open. We don't necessarily have them in the lodge rooms, but that's because our Masonic ceremonies are meant to be private. Yeah, so Fred, don't do the work for the lodge. Explain what you believe, don't sugarcoat it, and let the lodge decide. I would say if your exclusive answer to this question of supreme being is I believe in nothing, period, then it's probably not worth applying. But if you have any other answer, including superego, then start the application process and see what happens. That is the best approach to take. So I don't know who Abdul Kader is, so I can't speak to him. It Cash, Freemasons are not telling people what to do in their personal lives. But generally speaking, you should just make good decisions. YW33, he's dead. I'll look him up. I'm curious about him. I don't know who he is. Well, that's for stonemasons. That's not for Freemasons. Although certainly within Freemasons, um, yeah, there were many governments that saw Freemasonry or tried to ban Freemasonry or civic institutions in general. Part of it is because Freemasonry became so ubiquitous, many governments viewed it as a threat, even though they shouldn't have, because Freemasonry is non-political. But yeah, that could happen. Oh, we got one from Mr. Keeps. Bazinga, you say?
Lodge 401 mode of recognition password is Bazinga.
Somebody's a fan of the Big Bang Theory. Thank you as well, Courtney, for that. There's TTS. I just did it. Just takes a second. I'm still working out the kinks. It's one of those things where I'm still trying to work it out as I go. I got to get it a bit quicker. That's the key.
Keep up the amazing work, chili thumbs up.
Oh, and it's messing up still because that's the Texas flag, right? So it's still messing up the emojis a little bit. I got to fix that. But okay. See, Mr. Keeps, how quickly you doubt me. Have I ever let you down? Speaking of not letting people down, don't forget if you are owed any of these coins or are a new member, you will be getting your items mailed to you. My plan is this weekend. So by, I think I said the 11th or the 12th, basically by the weekend, you will be getting these items mailed to you. So be prepared for that. All right, so clearly I'm not quite as good as I want it to be yet. I still got to deal with the emoji situation. But hey, we're working on it. Cool guy. If you were a cool guy, you'd provide a super chat and hit the like and subscribe button. Did it sound good at least though, Mr. Keeps? Did it sound decent? I mean, define influence, right? I mean, individual Freemasons certainly had influence. Herbs, George Washington, Jose Rizal, Bolivar. I mean, I don't know. Paul Revere, Winston Churchill, FDR. But that doesn't mean Freemasonry as an institution had influence. It just means individual Masons got involved in politics, which doesn't, and other influential fields, which doesn't shock me. If you're a Freemason, you're probably interested in civic life and community life, and you're probably also interested in you're probably also interested in civic engagement and all the skills it takes to be civically engaged, to know how to run meetings, things like that. Whoa, cool guy. We're getting very anti-Semitic here right now. I want money because I want to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, and whether I'm Jewish or not is irrelevant to being is irrelevant to Freemasonry. We have men of all different faiths, ethnicities, backgrounds, and beliefs. What is media share? I got to look into that. I've used Streamlabs in the past, but maybe I'll have to see about it now. But I don't want to bankrupt you, in fairness. Nobody should be bankrupting themselves to support this channel. You do you. But don't bankrupt yourself for my channel. You need to focus on yourself. I very happy that Artemis is coming back home. I believe they are currently, hold on just 1 second. Let's see. As of April 8th, Artemis 2 mission is on its 8th day with the 4-person crew successfully returning from historic lunar flyby. There's an Artemis live tracker. Let's see if I can find it here. If you're 26, you can join. Yeah, absolutely. Most jurisdictions, you need to be either 18 or 21 years of age. They return to Earth in 2 days, 6 hours, 17 minutes, and come on, stop being this way. Just got the live tracker up right now. 2 days, 6 hours, and 16 minutes from returning to Earth. They are presently 315,768 kilometers from Earth. I mean, I think it's awesome. Look, I've talked about this on the stream. I don't want to get political, because Freemasonry is not political, but I can speak for myself. I think the things that Donald Trump has been saying about Canada being the 51st state, all the rest of it, I think is incredibly hurtful and incredibly harmful to both Canada and the United States. But to see this space mission, to see the Canadian flag and the American flag next to one another as they're traveling through space, to hear French spoken in space, and to see it supported by the other astronauts, to see that group hug after they named the crater on the moon after the wife who passed away of the mission commander, to hear Donald Trump talking to the astronaut and not, describing Carney as the governor of Canada, but rather the Prime Minister of Canada. I don't know. I thought this just goes to show why space travel is so important. It tends to remove the dumb stuff that takes up so much of our time and reminds us of what's actually important and what actually matters. So I think that's really important to see now more than ever. Thank you, Smokey, and thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well as always. Everybody, don't forget, check out my friend Smokey's channel if you get the chance. He did. And I mean, you have to, right? You can't be picking fights when you're on a spaceship traveling through Earth. When you're in a spaceship traveling through space, trying to get back to Earth. That's not the time to be pissing anybody off, nor is it the time to be burning bridges, either from the people back here on Earth, the presidential, whether it be the president or the prime ministers or whomever else it might be. This is showing that everybody actually needs to get along, genuinely. Didn't they just? What do you mean when he ignore whom? When when they named the crater after the wife, or do you mean didn't they just ignore Donald Trump? I'm not sure who was ignored. I mean, I think in Canada, as a general rule, what we try to do is ignore the bluster and stuff like that. A lot of Canadians I know are not traveling to the States right now. And that's one of those things where you want that to change, because I think our countries are better when we are friendly as much as possible. That includes friendly economically, friendly with tourism, friendly with travel back and forth. But I can understand why many people would, at this point, be concerned about traveling to the States. And we're proud that he's part of the program. I think every Canadian should be proud to see him in space. Astro ignored Trump. I mean, I saw them speaking to Trump. I don't know if I don't know if every astronaut spoke to Trump, but I know that President Trump called into the space into the mission, into the Orion space capsule. So I know they spoke with him. Good afternoon, Michael Moore. Thank you for being here. By the way, I saw that Zion Lodge has a festive board coming up, which I might try to attend. I don't know for sure if I'll be able to, but I'm considering it. I agree, Courtney. Did you answer my supreme being question? I don't know if I saw your supreme being question. Um, I think I changed my mind about space shenanigans now, I think. So you no longer think the supreme being is an alien or aliens? There are young and old people in Freemasonry. I found there's a lot of different ages represented in a lodge. As we had less and less and less Masons, as the number of Masons was dropping, the average age of the Masons started to go up quite a bit, but that's specifically for North America. I would say here in South America, North America, excuse me, I would say in your neck of the woods in India, as well as in South America, as well as in parts of Asia, we're actually seeing a lot of younger people joining Freemasonry. And we're seeing that again in North America as well, to its credit. So nice. I hope you enjoy visiting that lodge. And yeah, part of being a Freemason is traveling, and you have to figure out where you can go. And if you have a family commitment, you have a family commitment. Saturday, April 25th. No, I don't think they ever will. I mean, who knows? Anything's possible, of course, but I don't think they ever will. And I mean, I personally hope that they don't. I think that the requirement is broadly enough defined that it doesn't need to be dropped. Now, if they were to say that it has to be, a specific type of faith or belief, I would, in that case, certainly disapprove. But I think it's broad enough that it's okay. And I think there is again, it goes back to this idea of the value of the shared experience. Part of that shared experience is that we come from the same, we have a certain similar, we have a belief in something, I think creates stronger bonds for those shared experiences. Who needs to shave when I got this awesome beard? Brother Michael Moore, by the way, don't forget if you provide a $2 or more super chat, we're going to have a text to speech option. So your super chat will be read out text to speech app. Just $2 or more. So Mr. Keeps, I have no idea, but I don't think so personally, because it's still a pretty standard required mode of recognition. So, or not mode of recognition, excuse me. Yeah, not mode of recognition, but recognition requirement. To be regular, most Grand Lodges are going to need other Grand Lodges to have some type of recognition requirement of a supreme being or belief in a supreme being. I'm trying to do this for a profession, a cash. That's why I'm here asking for super chats and asking for a couple bucks and got the text to speech. So help a brother out. I'm not sure what that question means. Keep in mind, I'm speaking for myself personally. Um, do you believe that there's no real? I mean, I I'm I don't know for sure. I don't think anybody knows for sure. But if I had to make a bet, I would bet that Jesus Christ was a real historical figure who lived in Judea. It would have been right in from 0 to 33. It's the supernatural elements or the religious elements I question, but I'm not necessarily a Christian. At least I wouldn't describe myself as a Christian. Um, but I think he was almost certainly a legitimate historical figure. Okay, so you would be, I mean, forgive me if I'm incorrect, YW33, but I believe that belief that Jesus was a Messiah and prophet of God but not God is of the Muslim faith. if I understand correctly. Which, again, we have many Freemasons who are Muslim. I would recommend, if anybody gets the chance and wants to check it out, consider visiting beautiful Zion Lodge #1. They're having a festive board. It's open to Masons. If you're a Mason, check it out. I mean, and it'll give you a chance, if nothing else, to visit Detroit Masonic Temple, which is genuinely, it's the biggest Masonic temple in the world, and genuinely, it's one of the most beautiful Masonic buildings in the world. That's a good question, Mr. Keeps. No. Michael Moore, let me know how you would answer that question as well. I mean, it's that word abandon, right? Um, like, so if we assume that you're, by dogma, you simply mean your religious beliefs, right? There's Catholic dogma, there's Protestant dogma, there's Islamic dogma, there's Jewish dogma, there's Hindu dogma, I'm sure, and Sikh dogma, whatever it is, right? Freemasonry would never encourage you to abandon those things because your religious faith and religious beliefs must come first. But what I would say is it encourages you in your day to day life to champion reason. Um, and within a lodge as well, right? And rational thought, the dogma qualities of it, that's between you and your supreme being. It's not that Freemasonry encourages you to abandon it, but rather to understand that those are religious. Like your dogma within a religious context should never stop you from being a good neighbor, being a good friend, being a good citizen. If it does, you should abandon those things. But that probably would not be legitimate dogma, anyways. And I've never met any, let's say, dogmatic Catholics, dogmatic Muslims who are bad neighbors or bad friends or bad brothers. Um, okay, YW33. So J, I was taught about this before. When it comes to serving food in a Masonic lodge, we need to remember and understand that our lodges, we have a junior warden. The junior warden of the lodge um, is responsible for providing food and refreshment to the brethren present. I've argued in the past several times that we need our lodges to be better about making sure, or at least our junior wardens, making sure that the type of food they're providing is, you know, not just, I mean, it should taste good, obviously, there should be enough of it, but making sure that it is, um, compliant with if you have Muslims or Jewish people, there's no pork, or if they need the food to be halal of some sort, the food is halal, or making sure you have vegetarian options or vegan options. Also, making sure you're paying attention to possible food allergies, some of which could actually be deadly, right? If you have a brother who's allergic to peanuts, don't serve any nuts or anything with nuts at the event, or at the meeting. I've always suggested that we as Freemasons should require junior wardens to take food handler certification courses. I think it's really important. Um, and I know, look, every Mason is busy. They have their things to do. They don't necessarily have time. But if they do have time, they should. It's incredibly helpful. Um, if aliens came to Earth, who should they speak to first? Null and void? They should speak to a Freemason. Um, I mean, we don't want the world to end, even though I'm not a huge fan of the world all the time. I still think it's better if the world is with us. So, But I mean, I would say for me, and this has always been my view, even before I was a Freemason, going back to Mr. Keeps's question, I've always been very suspicious of dogma. I think religious or otherwise. I think it's possible simply using reason and objective logic to determine the best approach to take in any situation without needing to resort to dogmatic principles. Because I think the problem, again, I think dogma implies there's one right answer to every situation. I'm not sure that's the case, but I think every situation there is a right answer, and using rationality and reason, we're able to figure out what it is. Um, no, based on a constitution or other document. Any tips for healthy lodge catering? That's a great question, Courtney. First, I think every junior warden should be required to take, before they become a junior warden, a safe food handling prep course based on whatever state or province or country you're in. It's almost always available online. They're easy to find. They're relatively inexpensive, and they're a lot of they're not too hard. I took one, and I was grateful to take it. That way, you're learning healthy catering at the most basic level, which means how to store food safely, how to preserve food safely, how to um, serve food safely, so you're not risking things like cross contamination, allergic reactions, food going bad, food being spoiled. It's a little thing, but it matters, and that's the most basic level of safety. Um, but then the second, I think, level is not food safety from a health perspective, but just healthy food, right? Fresh foods. And I think the answer to that is, look, you need to, as a lodge, be willing to put a little bit more into the budget to, give, because it's always going to be cheaper, or at least more cost effective to order food in. But if you have a decent budget, look, taking the time to bring in fresh fruit and fresh vegetable trays, I think that's never going to hurt. Um, I think, making relationships with local restaurants and asking them, can you provide us with some healthy options is a good idea. And the restaurants may be willing to cut you discounts if in exchange you take from them or you use them regularly, right? If you can have homemade food and homemade cooking, that is usually healthier than ordering in as well. But that depends on the time the lodge has. It might be worth the lodge even spending a little bit more money and having a professional chef cater their meals, which can sometimes take place. But beyond that, I think fresh food is always a good idea. If you can do it, having some fruit and vegetable trays available as a choice is always a good idea. And that's relatively easy, relatively inexpensive. If you can bring food from home or cook yourself, all the better. Or if you can put a little bit more money into it and get a professional chef. Check with, for example, Heart and Stroke Foundation about healthy food options. They usually have cookbooks for things like cooking for people who may be dealing with high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So do that as well. I hope that those things made sense. Also, publish your meals in the summons before you serve them. So our next meeting will be April 10th. This is what we'll be having for dinner. These are some of the healthy options as well. And I also think a variety is a good idea. Like if you're serving the same thing every meeting, it gets repetitive and that can be unhealthy. I mean, sure, we need to keep that in mind as well. A lot of our brothers may have diabetes. Can you get a cookbook about cooking for people with diabetes and provide that? That way, look, people without diabetes, they're going to be fine. And you know that people with diabetes are going to be okay as well. Keep in mind, right? Healthy food, in some cases, it could be a matter of life and death, depending on the nature of the illnesses someone may be suffering with. Did that make any sense? I hope it did. I loved the old Simpsons tree houses of horror, so. If you were a Freemason, you could ask to be one. If you're not, I mean, it's tough because it's expensive, and most lodges do not have a lot of money at the moment. But, um, certainly you could, as you could approach the lodge and say, look, I'm a professional chef. I'm willing to cook for you guys. Maybe try to work out a deal where it's something they can afford. Or heck, if you want to be really nice, maybe offer to cook for them for free for the first time. And if they like the food, maybe see about getting catering options there for them. If they're meeting once a month, maybe they can afford to bring you in once a month. Who knows? It's an interesting thought. I think, I've been talking about this before. Um, oh, I can't think of his name now. There's this chef. I've actually had him or reviewed his stuff on the channel. There's this chef, old school Kevmo. He's a professional chef um, for a sorority house, and he cooks their meals for them. And I've always thought, like, whether you're cooking for 20 sorority girls or 20 Freemasons, the premise is basically the same. And he makes them good food, it's healthy, it encourages people to want to join the sorority. If we had like an old school Kevmo in Freemasonry who cooked for our lodges, it'd be the same thing. It'd be really cool. I think it'd be worth exploring. Whoa, YW33. I like pig. I like pork products. Now, some people don't have to like it, and that's perfectly fine. It's up to everybody to decide for themselves, right? And if you have a religious um, kind of prohibition against pork, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Oh, yeah, don't do that, Chip. That's a really cruel thing to do. Um, don't be putting pork into people's meals without their permission. That's not okay. Although I will say, Chip Broadhead is not completely wrong in that even if you're eating vegetables, an animal helped create those vegetables through the use of fertilizer. That's very often the case, through their poop, if you will. Um, I will say bacon and popcorn is a good combination. Sweet and salty, because you take bacon, you put maple syrup on it or honey on it, you add it to something salty, that's really good. I think I heard that once upon a time. Um, yeah, I do think that has happened. I do think I heard about that, Courtney. So that's really cool. I think somebody told me that. We're going to give it a few more minutes, and I'm going to start talking about Border Cities Law Number 554. There's a lot of those markers at um, there's a lot of square compasses at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is a really cool thing. Yes, it is. But isn't it actually bad? Oh, no, it's clover. I don't know. There's a type of grass that you can feed a cow that's bad for it. I forget what it is. Um, I need to back up for 1 second, but I'll be back in another 1 second. I said to grab this thing. Okay. But there are a ton of Masonic grave markers at the Hollywood Cemetery. Freemasonry was very ubiquitous throughout America in the 1920s, including in Hollywood. So many people involved in the movie industry were Freemasons. That's not trying to create any conspiracy theories, just for the record. No kind of someone's going to hear that. I'm going to deal with that pretty soon. I mean, I know there's a type of thing you can grass or something you can feed cows that's really bad for them. I just forget what it is. I'm definitely not a um, I am not a farmer by any means. 314,505 kilometers from Earth, which is incredible to see. I mean, I have nothing but respect for farmers as somebody who is a wuss, and I know how hard they work, but, that's a separate issue. Nothing but respect for them, though. A lot of Masonic farmers out there in the world as well. All right, so I was going to switch it up now in main subject. So I um, had the pleasure of attending Masters Night in 2000, or sorry, at Masters Night last night, April 7th, 2026, in beautiful Amherstburg, Ontario. Genuinely one of the most beautiful towns in southern Ontario. It's right on the water. It's absolutely gorgeous. Um, I am not a Catholic Jesuit. I'm a Freemason. The Last night we had what's called Masters Night, and that was an opportunity for the masters of the different lodges to gather together and to discuss in their lodges, to discuss the history of their Masonic lodges and their personal Masonic journeys. Thank you, Courtney. And so I had the absolute pleasure of presenting and discussing on Border Cities Lodge number 554. That is where I'm currently the worshipful master. And I brought with me a couple pieces of information last night, and I figured I would provide them again today and discuss them again today, just because it's so cool to discuss. Um, Border Cities Lodge number 554. A meeting of Master Masons was held in the parish hall of St. John's Church, Sandwich, on the 19th day of May, 1919, for the purpose of organizing a Blue Masonic Lodge, with Right Worship Brother W.G. Wells, District Deputy Grand Master of Erie District Number 1, in the chair. Dispensation was granted June 13th, 1919. The lodge was instituted on Saturday evening, September 6, 1919, by Right Worshipful Brother H.A. Jones of Wheatley, Ontario, District Deputy Grand Master. The charter or warrant was granted on July 21st, 1920, at a Grand Lodge meeting held at Niagara Falls, Ontario. The lodge was constituted and consecrated on October 20th, 1920. The lodge became a daylight lodge in 1996. It's one of the last remaining daylight lodges, really, I would say, in the world, but certainly in southern Ontario. On July 21st, 2023, the City of Windsor and the Office of the Mayor provided a proclamation, which I'm just going to read now. Proclamation, Border Cities Masonic Lodge number 554 Centennial, July 21st, 2023. Whereas the Border Cities Lodge number 554 AF&AM was established July 21st, 1920 in Windsor, Ontario, and the Border Cities Lodge number 554 AF&AM is a diverse fraternal fellowship supporting the eco-social fabric of our community with the common goal of brotherhood, charity, and benevolence, stressing the principles of kindness and consideration at home, honesty in business through relevance and morality, courtesy towards others, dependability in one's work, compassion for all, and to being a good citizen of the world and to our community and city, and that Border Cities Lodge number 554 AF&AM has a 100-year history of commitment to promoting the fundamental values of democracy in the true sense of the word, and the Border Cities Lodge number 554 AF&AM recognized 100 years of dedication to the provision of humanitarian service through the tenets of strong ideals, brotherly love, relief, and truth for the benefit of our community on July 21st, 2020 in the City of Windsor, Ontario. And therefore, I, Drew Dilkins, Mayor of the City of Windsor, do hereby proclaim July 21st, 2023, Border Cities Masonic Lodge number 554 Centennial in the City of Windsor. I want to read that out just because I'm grateful to be a member of Border Cities Lodge, and I'm grateful for the proclamation. I'm grateful to be part of Windsor. And with that, now we're back to just any questions, any thoughts, any statements, please let me know. On exciting news, the Dow has surged 1,200 points as U.S.-Iran ceasefire sends oil prices tumbling. So that's a good thing. Hopefully, we'll keep those oil prices dropping. Fingers crossed. And we're going to give it a bit more time. Wait to see who joins. Don't forget, if you have a $2 super chat, you'll hear it right out, TTS. I don't think it's back to normal, but it's dropping. I don't know what the current oil prices are. My suspicion is they're still over $4 a gallon. Let's see. American oil. Hello from New Mexico, Roy. I hope you're doing well. Current oil price, average US per gallon. We're looking at market.business insider. Oh, so according to this, today's AAA national average is for fuel prices is $4.16. So yeah, still over $4, which doesn't surprise me, but I would expect it to start to drop if the Straits of Hormuz remain open. It looks like right now I'm reading some reports that Iran has closed the Straits of Hormuz again due to the actions of Israel in Lebanon and Beirut. So we'll see. It might end up not dropping. It's going to depend on what happens the next few days. Fred Uckers, what's an oil ETF? But I don't think oil is going to be back to normal anytime soon. It's going to take a while for these disruptions to sort themselves out. It's a composite of a bunch of stocks. So, do you, Fred, I mean, I don't know your background or your involvement, but do you think we're going to see oil prices continue to decline, or do you think oil prices in general are going to remain stubbornly high for the next little bit? Which makes me want them to own this Gordie Howe Bridge even more because that way I can just wheel across to the States if I'm traveling to a Masonic event instead of relying on the Lynx bus, which has now increased its tolls from $15 to $19 round both ways. So $38 altogether. When people talk about and say like, you know, gas prices don't matter to Freemasonry. It matters if I'm trying to visit a Masonic lodge in the States and it's an extra $8 round trip to visit it. So it does actually matter way more than people think. I'm sure you could, Harsh, but can you hit the like and subscribe button? That's the better question. That's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's good that it's going to drop, but it's unfortunate it won't get back to what it was a year ago, right? That affects flights, that affects ability to make it to the States, that affects everything. What's going on, Penny and Lunas? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Looks like it's the lowest in kind of middle America, places where I think they have a lot of oil. It's the highest, looks like in California, looking pretty high in New York at the moment. For the first time in 4 years, national average exceeds $4 a gallon. I'm sure it's going to continue exceeding $4 a gallon as well, I think, for the foreseeable future. Tony Walker, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Husafel, that's what they say. I mean, it wasn't, I think there's a lot of different reasons, but that's one of the main ones. Obviously, the Knights Templar is not the same thing as Freemasonry. The Knights Templar, when that order was given in 1307, if I recall correctly, it was, Freemasonry would not exist for about another 400 years, give or take, but certainly the Freemasons, looking back, took a lot of their symbolism and inspiration from the Knights Templars, without a doubt. Freemasonry, you can be liberal, you can be conservative. It doesn't make a difference for Freemasonry, right? We're not a political organization. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're just going to see who joins. Please, as always, once again, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I would be truly grateful. Phil Lemon, when you are joining Freemasonry, there's rituals and ceremonies. I never discuss specifics. All I ever say is within Freemasonry, there's nothing with any ritual or ceremony that is illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. Um, and honestly, the truth about Freemasonry, if you're speaking metaphorically, is available to anybody to see. Visit our lodges, talk to our Masons, learn more about us. Check out this channel. Read Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodap, which is a wonderful book and does a really good job of describing a lot of what Freemasonry is. Do you, Phil? Do you? My suspicion is you don't. You think you know more than you do. You might be like a guy, I've used this example many times in the past. You can read everything there is to know about bicycles. You can read about the history of bicycles, the different designs. You can study all of the different blueprints about how bikes are manufactured, how they're made. You can know how to take a bike together and put it, pull it apart and put it together. If you've never ridden a bicycle, you don't actually know that much about it. Freemasonry is the same way. It's not an exclusively intellectual exercise. To truly understand Freemasonry, you have to be a Freemason. You can know facts about it. You can know more facts than me. That doesn't mean you actually understand it. And that's especially true for Masonic rituals and ceremonies. It's something you need to experience to understand it. We're just going to hang out, wait to see who joins. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Well, you could be a Freemason. That's very true. I don't know if you are or not. I don't even know, right? When I say you're a Freemason, you could be a clandestine, you could be a Freemason who's recognized, you could be a past Freemason. There's no way for me to know. What I would say, though, is people who say things like they know all about Freemasonry are usually full of baloney. Even me, I don't say I know all about Freemasonry. I know all about my experiences within Freemasonry. I know all about my involvement. And based on that involvement and my 20 years of being a Freemason, I feel I'm able to make some pretty adequate or accurate understandings of Freemasonry as a whole. But at the end of the day, I don't speak for Freemasonry. I speak for myself and my experiences therein. Now, if I'm speaking about a fact, like the Premier Grand Lodge of England was formed June 24th, 1717, that's just a fact. But if I'm speaking about my experiences, recognize it's my experiences of which I'm speaking, not quote unquote the truth of Freemasonry. And we're going to keep hanging out. We're going to wait to see who joins. I um I do not have diabetes. I get myself checked by a doctor regularly, so I think I'm doing okay. Oh, so you're one of these people, Phil, who thinks that there's two branches or two levels of Freemasonry. Keep in mind a 33rd, which people are obsessed with. Being a 33rd Mason does not mean that you're the highest degree in Freemasonry. The highest degree in Freemasonry is the third degree. It's the Master Mason degree. I did not hear a bang. Actually, I think it was a door closing behind me. If you want to hear something cool, provide a super chat and you'll hear something cool. You'll hear a text to speech option. I mean, Nick, as somebody who's trying to make a living on YouTube, I just will say I always want to see and make sure that people are using social media responsibly. And that's a hard thing to do. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely a hard thing to do. And it's a hard thing to enforce. I respect YouTube trying its best. But individuals need to use common sense and discernment as well. Don't be doing dumb stuff. Um, I'm talking about the Blue Lodge or the Craft Lodge, pick your term, which is the foundation upon which all of Freemasonry rests and is also the highest ranking order within Freemasonry. It's not the Scottish Rite, it's not the York Rite, it's not Shrine, it's none of that stuff. You need to keep that in mind. Well, that's still good news, Fred. I mean, just because they don't have diabetes doesn't mean I wouldn't be very happy to hear that they may have cured type 2. What I would say, though, is we're not going to take this isn't a medical channel. We're not going to be giving medical advice. If you have diabetes and you think there may be a cure for it, talk to your doctor. That's the most important things. Freemasons did not attack Iran. Freemasonry is not a political, we're not a government. We don't make decisions to attack. There may have been Freemason soldiers, but they're soldiers, their profession. Freemasonry is their civic engagement. I mean, that would be like saying if a Freemason who's a plumber fixes your pipes and you say, why did the Freemasons fix my pipes? No, it was a plumber who fixed your pipes. He may have happened to be a Freemason. Who knows? Um, don't be doing dumb stuff is very good advice for the record. I would say more people need to be following that. In fact, that's going to be my next tattoo. Don't be doing dumb stuff is usually really good advice. Yes, I got a big nose. I've grown to accept it, Craig. Please hit like and subscribe. Peter Hegseth is not a Freemason. At least I've never seen any evidence that he is. He could be. I suppose it's possible, but I don't see any evidence that he is a Freemason. This is from AI. Based on recent reports from March 2026, claims linking Pete Hegseth to the Freemasons are considered unverified conspiracy theories arising from social media analysis of a handshake. A video from March 5th, 2026 shows Hegseth shaking hands with a military officer at a joint base. Andrews went viral with some social media users alleging it's a Masonic handshake. Fact checkers and analysis of the video indicated it was a standard firm grip and there are no claims and that the claims are not grounded in fact. I've never seen any evidence that Pete Hegseth is a Freemason. I don't think he is. But even if he was, like, who cares? That doesn't mean Freemasons are attacking Iran. Again, it's no different than if a Freemason is a plumber. That doesn't mean the Freemasons are plumbers. One's a profession, one's a fraternity. I mean, we're getting political. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not political. So whatever you think of, there are some, Freemasons who probably support Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. There are some who don't. I'm personally not a fan, but that's me personally speaking. I've seen, I think, his tattoos. None of them look Masonic to me. We're going to be giving it a bit more time, so it's great to see who joins. I will never get any face tattoos. No shade against anybody who does. But I would not get a face tattoo. I don't know what an Israeli tattoo looks like. But I mean, his tattoos look like, I don't know. I don't know what his tattoos are meant to represent. I can't speak for them. I think when it comes to what's happening currently in the Middle East with Iran, What I care about is hopefully the same thing that everybody cares about, which is ultimately a desire and a hope that this ceasefire holds and that people are going to be okay. Yeah, I don't know what that Crusader cross means though. Like, well, I mean, I know what the Crusades were, so I don't know if it's meant to just harken back to the Crusades themselves, if it's meant to represent a type of religious faith, a specific type of church. I don't know. I can't speak to his tattoos. I can just say again, I just hope everybody for everybody's sake, that the ceasefire holds, not just for a reduction in oil and gas prices, which does matter to people and our ability to take care of ourselves and those around us, but it also should hopefully make a difference and matter to no more lives being lost on any side. There is no on top. See, that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to Freemasonry, and one of the obvious, in my experiences, most obvious misunderstandings. There is no top when it comes to Freemasonry. Freemasonry is a decentralized organization. There is no single Grand Lodge that controls Freemasonry, right? When I joined, I became a Mason in Ontario. That's my Grand Lodge within Ontario. That Grand Lodge does not have authority over lodges in, let's say, Manitoba, for example, right? This idea that there's some global top of Freemasonry is foolish and shows a complete misunderstanding of what Freemasonry is. Um, so, file, and again, do I know for sure? I mean, I don't know anything for sure. What I know is I've been a Mason for 20 years. I've traveled around the world as a Freemason. I visited lodges around the world. I understand the jurisdictional, what it means from a jurisdictional perspective. So yeah. Well, I'm definitely doing this channel purposefully, and I'm purposely telling people what Freemasonry is based on my understanding of it. There is no occult Illuminati side of things, Craig. Now, here's like, does that stop? So let's say, for example, I decided I was going to create my own organization. I was going to call it Cameron's Illuminati Masonic Organization. And I were to put a sign on my door saying, "Welcome to Cameron's Illuminati Masonic Clubhouse." And I were to take people's money and I were to create ceremonies and rituals based on the masonry I've learned and apply it to, encourage people to join and everything else that comes with it. Now, does that mean the Illuminati exists? Does that mean Illuminati Freemasonry exists? Or does that mean one individual has tried to create his own organization and used terminology and symbols from quote unquote the Illuminati, right? Just because someone claims the Illuminati exists, it could just be one guy in his basement sending a million emails a day. It doesn't mean the Illuminati actually exists. You need to keep those things in mind and understand them. You cannot join the mafia side of Freemasonry. There is no mafia side of Freemasonry. A lot of people are talking about France. They were not recognized, which means I couldn't visit their lodge. But Freemasons should be compliant with the laws of the country in which they live, not harming them or working against them. Mopor, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Mopor, don't forget, if you provide a super chat of just $2 or more, it will be read out by text to speech. Give it a shot. But I've got my coffee right now, and that's good enough for me, believe me. Read them and understand them. Whether text to speech can understand them, I have no idea. That could be the Chinese room problem. but it's definitely reading them. Well, what are you basing that on, Craig Hart Angel? Craig Hart and Angel? I'm gonna call you Craig because I've been lucky enough. Sometimes it doesn't feel so lucky, but lucky enough to be a Freemason for 20 years, just about. Had a lot of great experiences within Freemasonry. What have your experiences within Freemasonry been like thus far? They could. I got a big forehead, Nolan. I've grown to accept it. Please hit like and subscribe. I definitely drink too much caffeine. It's one of those things. I've just grown to accept it. I could probably be better and drink a lot less caffeine, but what are you going to do? I think you do, and that's one of the dangerous things about caffeine, right? Is the fact that you can build tolerance to it, and then you need more, and then you need more. I think that can be a very dangerous thing if we're not careful with it. But that's true. Look, just because something is a legal substance, just because something is ubiquitous, it does not mean that it doesn't have dangers to it. You need to be careful. I mean, I would say if whatever level of caffeine you're drinking, if it starts to interfere with your life or you feel like it's interfering with your life or your health, talk to your doctor, maybe try to cut back if you can. Minotaur, that's a great memory. It is absolutely the case, without a doubt, that within Freemasonry, Masonic funerals are an incredibly important part of the craft, right? One of the things we need to keep in mind is a Masonic funeral is a way to say goodbye to a brother, but it's a way to say thank you to the family and everybody there for allowing that brother to spend time with us. Right? When you pass away, when somebody you know passes away, it reminds you that we have a finite time here on earth, and every hour we spend at a Masonic Lodge meeting, every hour we spend with Masonic brethren, every hour we spend driving to and from a meeting is an hour we're not spending with our wife, with our kids, with our family. It's an hour we're not spending with friends. And it reminds us how precious of a commodity time truly is. And because of that, getting a chance to say thank you to a brother or to the family for saying, thank you for letting him spend time with us instead of at home. Thank you for letting him spend time with us instead of with you or earning money or whatever it is. It's a way to say thank you. And I think a funeral will always remind us of the limited amount of time we have on earth and to be grateful for those who choose to spend that time with us. I don't have that urge, but I do love coffee. So in some ways, maybe yes. Yes, I do. And a lot of people say that it sounds funny to say, but a lot of people will argue that their favorite Masonic memories are, in fact, funeral services. And I believe it. That makes a lot of sense to me because absolutely it is the case that, they will they can be very moving experiences, very sad experiences, but very moving experiences at the same time, without a doubt. That's awesome. Well, it's nice, and I'm happy that you're still remembering him because it's one of those things where it can be so easy to forget a brother when he passes away. Having a physical reminder of him, having his picture, and the Tyler sword present, a lot of older members become Tylers and just stay at that position for, while they're still around. That's a really cool thing, and I'm sure he's looking down on the lodge and is much appreciative of it. So, no, it's really, really cool. And I always recommend if you can do something like that for a brother who's passed away, especially if they contributed a great deal to the lodge, please make sure you do. Believe me, it will be incredibly appreciated by everybody, but especially by the members' families, and show the members' families, right? If you have some type of honorific, take a few moments to show it off, to show the lodge, or to show the family members what you've done for them, their brother, their father, their uncle, your brother, right? Take them on a tour of the building. This is where we have your grandfather's, your father's, your husband's picture. This is his Tyler's sword. They should get to see it as well. Obviously, don't do it during a lodge meeting that's in labor, but during refreshment or at any point in time, it would be really cool to do. Until people forget his name, unfortunately, they say, right, you have two deaths. You first time is when you die physically, the second time is when the last person who knew you also dies. I think Freemasonry can try to extend that life a fair bit by creating monuments, records, documents honoring our brethren from the past. But again, I don't think we in Freemasonry should remember, right? We shouldn't be afraid of death. We should use death as a motivation. The fact that we will die should be very motivating to us to want to, as much as possible, to want to do what we can in this life to create a better world and create a better community. I drink a lot of coffee, Hale. In fact, many of my viewers, including Mr. Keeps, was kind enough to send me coffee a few times, and I was much, much appreciative and grateful for it. And I also get that free coffee from Caesar's Windsor, which I'm grateful for as well. Um, Minotaur, that's a really good point. I mean, and I've heard some soldiers and veterans who have, been involved in wars saying that the saying that especially the third degree, they kind of already had taken that lesson um, of the value of remembering that you are mortal, and not to be afraid of that, but to remember and use that as motivation to create a better world while you can. They kind of already taken that lesson from their time serving, but it's good to be have it reinforced. I think, um, however it be reinforced, probably not the worst thing. I love Windsor. Hail, nice. I'm grateful to be from Windsor. They're taking a lot of steps to make it safer, is what I'll say, and they're doing a great job at it. Councillor Ronaldo Agostino deserves a lot of credit for his work and for his effort in making it safer. Any coffee is good coffee, but without a doubt, that includes free coffee. Yes. I would say free anything is good anything. Not everything, not free anything, don't sue me. There are many times that might not be the case. But I would say, as a general rule, free anything is good anything. I love Detroit, Hale. Detroit's awesome. Detroit is an incredible city. I've written about it a few times. I think it's absolutely one of a kind. I love it. I've been there dozens of times, maybe hundreds at this point, and I'm always looking forward to going back. So decaf, no, I drink regular coffee. Masons did not build the moon, but a Mason landed on the moon, Buzz Aldrin. He was a Mason. He was actually a Mason originally in Kansas, then Colorado, then Texas. He, quote unquote, claimed Freemasonry. He claimed the moon for Texas Freemasons. So, of course, leave it to Texas to take our moon. Um, Okay, I like English breakfast. I used to love tea and I drank tea more than coffee. Then I switched to drinking tea. Now I'm, just drinking coffee instead of tea. Now I still drink coffee primarily, but I've gone to tea once again. I'm back to drinking more tea. English breakfast is one of my favorites. I wish you best of luck. Once you find the correct amount of tea leaves to put in the tea, let me know. We'll share it on the stream. We'll tell everybody. Um, I mean, of course, if there's any Masonic lodge or Masonic Grand Lodge that was going to claim the moon, is anybody shocked it was the Grand Lodge of Texas? Don't get me wrong, I love the Grand Lodge of Texas, but I think that's hilarious. Um, no, I'll go north. I love being north. I love Saginaw. I love Bay City. I should say I've never been to Saginaw, Michigan, but I would pass through it all the time on my way to Bay City. And I loved Bay City, Michigan. I miss it a lot. It was a really cool place, really beautiful city. Um, so yeah, no, I loved Northern Michigan. Northern Michigan is beautiful in summer. I will say that. Well, I appreciate that, Hale. Nice, but I mean, usually we're not meeting people we meet on YouTube, right? If I'm ever there though for a Masonic meeting, I will announce it on here, and yeah, we can talk then. Really, Fred, I had no idea. Keep in mind, no medical advice on this channel. Talk to your doctor, but I never heard that green tea is creates risks for kidney stones. I heard it has a very high caffeine, a very high caffeine uh, amount level, even higher than black coffee, is what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I heard. Interesting. I've been learning a lot more about my kidneys because I may be donating one. We still don't know yet. I'm still working on it. But I've been trying to read up a bit on kidneys. So as of right now, apparently my kidneys are healthy. That is what I can tell you. So hooray for healthy kidneys. We're just hanging out. Waiting to see who joins. I gave today's topic was Border Cities Lodge. Some general questions about the lodge. I'm going to make a quiz about that, and also reading out the City of Windsor Proclamation um, about the lodge as well. So from the City of Windsor, which I was grateful for. Also, let's do a shout out to the Windsor Spitfires. They're in round 2 of the OHL playoffs. Windsor Spitfires have been actually very supportive of the Windsor Masonic Temple. I'm grateful for that. So I'm grateful to see where they're going. I mean, I think Bay City, I've said this before, I think, absolutely wonderful, one of a kind place. I love it. So grateful to have visited Bay City the number of times I did. It was beautiful. That could be a fun poll question. What is your favorite restaurant? For me, I mean, I'm going to go with uh, Ellie's Pancake House in Chicago. I mean, tolls or trolls? Yes, paying a toll to get across a bridge is not fun, but I will say, you know, they have to keep those bridges upright somehow. We're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. No specific topics. Once again, we're just back to chatting. But please don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. We got hearts, we got congratulations. That might be Smokey the Clown. Nice. I love Chinese buffets. I haven't been to one for so long, but they were always so great. Chinese buffets are very underappreciated, I think, in terms of how good they are. I mean, I think, especially if you sometimes have anxiety a little bit, either side can be incredibly scary to cross. Like, it's just kind of human nature. Whenever you're talking to law enforcement or somebody in a position of authority, you naturally get nervous. I've generally been lucky though, and I'm grateful for that luck, and I'm grateful for border services. I just always make sure I have everything I need. My passport's up to date. If I needed vaccines, I got vaccinations, and I do, kind of what I can. I think when we're traveling as Freemasons, we need to remember that because we're traveling and because we're Freemasons, everything we do reflects upon Freemasonry. So if I'm a jerk to Border Patrol, if I'm not, paying attention to the rules and regulations of the country in which I'm visiting, whatever it might be, then that's going to leave a bad taste for Freemasonry. All I can do is bring my proper documentation, explain why I'm crossing the border, and you go from there, right? There's really not much else I can do. And if I've done that, um, then, you know, you kind of leave it, you do your best, and you let, if you will, God or the Supreme Being do the rest. I do my best to make sure I have what I need to have. I do my best to make sure I'm crossing and giving myself plenty of time. So if border agents are backed up, or if the bridge is backed up, or the tunnel's backed up, I'm not in a rush and trying to rush people. And then I list the rest is out of my hands, right? But I've always found, as a general rule, that customs agents, not just from Canada to the US, but also when I went to the Philippines, when I went to England, when I went to Colombia, we're always good. We're always professional and help me, do what I needed to do. They have Chinese buffets in Windsor, sure. Chinese food is sometimes a staple at Masonic Lodge meetings, which I think is really awesome. My car has not been taken apart yet, at least not to my knowledge. I don't have a car. I dislike, you dislike me on a personal level. You barely know me. I mean, many people dislike me on a personal level, but they usually have to get to know me first. They don't just automatically dislike me. But if it makes you feel any better, I have no doubt that if you, I have zero doubt that if you got to know me, you would also dislike me. Hey, I mean, I'm not saying it's like every lodge, but many lodges, they do very often, at least a couple of times a year, have Chinese takeout, which is a great meal. Don't get me wrong. I've been to a lot of lodges that have served Chinese takeout. It's not a Masonic tradition exactly, but I will say for a lot of Masonic lodges, it is what they go for because it's relatively inexpensive. You can get a lot of food, you get a lot of it. So, um, pedestrians will be able to cross the Gordie Howe Bridge, and believe me, I am beyond excited for that. When that bridge opens, one of the first things I'm going to do is wheel across the bridge and probably live stream it, or at least live stream parts of it, because I think it would be incredible. And there's no tolls apparently if you are um, walking across or wheeling or biking. There's no tolls, so. You're making me hungry, Fred Uckers, but yes, they do have that type of stuff, and it's awesome. But I do really love, I like Chinese take. I haven't had it for such a long time. I may have to see if I can get it. I mean, it's one of those things where it's the balance, right? Like if every meeting is white tablecloths and super fancy, it's not going to feel special. But by the same token, if if every meeting is simple, like you need both, right? I think the best lodges are able to find that balance where sometimes it's a special night and a special meeting, sometimes it's a um, sometimes it's Chinese takeout or pizza and paper plates, right? Both, and having that balance is what makes it work. I think sometimes lodges will try to go too far in one direction or the other, as opposed to finding a balance. And yeah, because a lot of people will feel like the refreshments after lodge, we call it refreshments on Harmony. If it's always very fancy, will decide they don't want to stay because they'll just consider it to be too fancy, you know? And they just want to relax, which can absolutely happen. Please don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you all so much for being here. Sure, pizza, burgers, chips, Chinese takeout. Like I said, a lot of people do find that that is they want something simple. Especially, you had to dress up at the lodge. You had to yeah, you don't necessarily want something fancy after a lodge meeting. You had to dress up to go there. Now you want to just relax and chill out with your friends and not have a formal process. I get it. But I also think there are times when it's absolutely called on to have a more formal, more fancy dinner. after the lodge. It just depends on the circumstances, right? Freemasonry is not the underground. It is not big, although it's growing, and it's not gay. So you're wrong on all three accounts. But that's okay. People get to be wrong. If every time somebody was wrong on this channel, I kicked them off the channel, we would have very few people left. Hey, sometimes, and I've talked about this before, saying we need to have healthy food, which I believe we do in lodges, but that doesn't mean all the time. That doesn't mean you can't also splurge and sometimes have a bit of fun and, treat yourself. And that includes maybe sometimes the brethren would want just McDonald's. But I've been to lodges where they served a whole bunch of cheeseburgers and fries after lodge meeting, and the guys absolutely loved it. So, yeah. It's certainly possible and certainly completely fine. I like beef and broccoli. I like wonton soup. I used to work at this place and they had a Chinese restaurant right next to it, and they made the greatest like lemon chicken. And I used to order that meal with spicy mustard. Oh, it was so good. Their spicy mustard was unbelievably good. I remember that stuff quite well. That'd be a good poll question to ask. What is your go-to Chinese takeout meal? Well, Fromaggio, you're in the wrong place. Freemasonry, uh, you what matters is that you're a good man and honorable. You can be gay or straight, does not make a difference. In Edinburgh, I mean, look, at the end of the day, what's going to matter more than the food is the company. Now, that doesn't mean that the food should be gruel. Again, it's a balance. We're talking about finding a balance here. But if the food is great, but the fellowship is bad, then sooner or later the food is not going to be sufficient, right? And that's something that a lot of people have a really hard time understanding. It needs to be everything. Not everything needs to be perfect, but everything needs to be good enough that it does not detract, right? If you have terrible food but wonderful fellowship, sooner or later people are going to start to complain because the fellowship will not be enough. By the same token, if you have wonderful food but terrible fellowship, it's the same thing. You need to figure out how you can maximize for every different aspect of a Masonic Lodge meeting. Sweet and sour is always really good, Haley. I support that. Or sorry, Minotaur. Coconut shrimp. I do like coconut shrimp a lot as well. Because I love seafood. So anything seafood is really good. Maybe that can be some type of special thing we do. I'm trying to think how it would work. But maybe we do something where um, if you support the channel, have Chinese takeout with Scurry Commons promotions. I don't know how that would work, so don't get too excited because I don't know how to. I would have to figure out how to make that work. But maybe do like a virtual Chinese takeout meal or something where I send you Chinese takeout and I order some and we eat it together on stream. Who knows? So I know who Randall Carlson is, Jesus Hendricks or Jesus Hendricks, but I don't know who Scott Wolter is. I like Randall Carlson, excuse me. I think he's done a lot to promote the positives of Freemasonry and push back against some very silly conspiracy theories. But this is a vegetarian zone in that we don't want no beefs with anybody. So I don't know what the drama is. Nio, I mean, I don't know if the world is going to end soon or not. I hope it doesn't. But I also hope that we in Freemasonry can provide object lessons in how to maintain the world in a positive way. That includes supporting our Masonic brethren and their lodges as much as possible. Because again, if we have more civic institutions, more civic society, what we can see, hopefully, is viewing those around the world as brothers first and foremost, which may make us less inclined to harm them. Um, I think I heard about that. I think you brought it up before. We'll see what happens, Alamo. I can't speak to that. I've not heard of it, but generally speaking, it's really important that we as Freemasons are respectful of our tenants in our Masonic buildings. Are you trying to send me $1 comic? If you send me two, you'll have your super chat read out text to speech. Crawfish is really good. Crab legs are really good as well. I don't mind sushi, but it's not my favorite. Right? It's definitely not my favorite thing. Good sushi is really good. Well, I mean, bad sushi, I think at that point it can be dangerous to your health and well-being, right? Like raw fish is can be quite bad. But I will say good sushi, yeah, good sushi is really good. It just depends on how much you love the lodge. So love the lodge. Love sushi, right? How much you're going to enjoy it, obviously. Um, I'm sure that if it's a professional establishment, they're well trained. They know how to work with sushi. They know how to handle it so it's safe. But certainly that's also why cities will be checking these restaurants to make sure they know what they're doing. Um, I mean, the Catholic Church does prohibit membership from being Freemasons. If you are, you're not able to take communion. Having said that, I know many Catholic Freemasons. So I guess what I'd say is you need to take that with a grain of salt, right? And you need to decide what is best. But obviously, I would never tell anybody to go against their religious, leadership. So if you're not comfortable being a Freemason, then don't be a Freemason for whatever reason, whether they be religious or otherwise. Well, Alamo, you can have many commitments to the community in many different ways. You don't need to be a Freemason to be committed to the community. We're going to just keep hanging out for a bit longer, wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Freemasons are not demonic loving, nor are we demonic. So you're wrong on both counts. Thankfully, no longer have a cold. At least I don't think so. I feel good. Not coughing, not looking like I'm crying on stream. So I think I'm doing okay. Now, whether I continue to do okay or not, who knows? But might get another cold. It's always possible. I guess we'll see. But right now, feeling fine. And that's, drank lots of water, rested, took care of myself. Sometimes being healthy isn't about avoiding being sick. Rather, it's about avoiding the worst symptoms of a sickness or avoiding being sick for too long. It's about quick recovery. Because unfortunately, no matter how healthy we try to be, we're always at risk of getting sick or getting injured. It's about bouncing back. Probably a good reason. I don't remember, but I'm sure you had it coming. My stream, my rules. Hello, Eric Bobby. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good day. Please hit like and subscribe. Nope, that's not how it works at all. It's my stream, not our stream. You can start your own stream if you want. It wouldn't belong to anybody else other than you. I mean, technically, I guess it belongs to the YouTube algorithm, and YouTube can choose to end the stream if they so choose. But that's quite a telling statement. Sheep, you seem like an incredibly entitled individual, which is not how it works. I used to see. I'm not a huge Seinfeld fan, but I did enjoy it when I was growing up. It's just not. I was never a big sitcom fan, as a general rule. Um, Many people disagree with that. Many people, sheep, they do view. They say if you put anything on social media, then it belongs to the social media ecosphere and not to the individual producing it, be it a stream or anything else. Which no is not the case. So. Yeah, it was a sitcom in Canada about 20 years ago, and then it became a cartoon. I enjoyed it as well. I'm not a huge sitcom fan, so it was a big show in Canada. Yeah, that's for sure. It's a yes from me. Smooth like butter, deadly 22. It's a yes from me. I'm through to the next round. So now we're on American Idol. Hey, I'll take it. What is this next round of which you speak? Because I look forward to being on it. I like Da Vinci's Inquest. I haven't watched Da Vinci's Inquest in forever, but I actually did really enjoy it quite a bit. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna like to check that show out again. That was a really good show. No, I hate They Live. It's too cynical for me. I hate the cynicism inherent in They Live. I think it's dumb. I think cynicism is almost always dumb, and I think in They Live that cynicism was taken up to like a 20. Although the whole chew bubble gum and kick ass, that's a great line. I'll say that. William Craig, great occult movie recommendations. I need to know how you define occult. Like, I don't know. I love horror movies. Some of those deal with like occult things. Um, like Starry Eyes is a pretty good film about cults in Hollywood. That might be my recommendation. I'd go with Starry Eyes. Watch Eyes Wide Shut Up. I don't mean. I think you mean Eyes Wide Shut. I've seen clips of that movie, never the whole thing. I guess you could call that an occult movie, but it's not based on Freemasonry, just to say again, because people think it is, which is very annoying. The most famous Freemason. Honestly, that's like a very personal, like interpretive question. Like, do you mean famous for being a Freemason or just famous individuals who happen to be Freemasons? Like, you could argue Winston Churchill, George Washington are both famous, but they're not famous for being Freemasons. It just so happens, same thing with like Shaquille O'Neal is famous and a Freemason. The person who's the most famous for being a Freemason, that's harder to say. I don't know if anybody is achieved fame through Freemasonry, which is unfortunate. It shows a lack of relevance in our communities. So my hope would be that we within Freemasonry can become so relevant that being a Freemason automatically grants you a level of relevance. Maybe not fame, but it'll matter to people. Most famous Freemason as a Freemason. I have no idea. Really nobody's famous for being a Freemason. So if anybody tells you join Freemasonry, you'll get rich and famous, they are lying. What is your position in the society sector? William, you're getting weird with all the bubbas and stuff. Calm down with that. I do this for a living. I create content. So please hit like and subscribe and consider a super chat. Just $2, excuse me, and you'll have your super chat read out by text to speech. Well, a Freemason that changed the world for the better, I mean, George Washington, Paul Revere, FDR, Winston Churchill, LBJ, Shaquille O'Neal has done a ton of charitable work. The people who developed the Masonic Medical Research Institute out of New York. The Mayo Clinic was founded by William J., Charles Mayo, all of which were Freemasons. Joseph Lister was a Freemason. He was the father of modern surgery. There's the Masonic Charitable Foundation. A lot of Masons make the world a better place, and you'll never have heard of them because they do their work kind of not for applause, but just to do the good work. We don't have Grand Wizards in Freemasonry. We have Grand Masters. I've never heard that. I've never seen that. No, you are just incorrect. Which, hey, to be incorrect, what are you going to do? We got lots of incorrect people out there in the world. And on this stream as well. Joey, I have no idea. Ronaldo, because he's the one I know. Joey, I have no idea why this obsession with the 33rd degree. It's foolish and it's wrong. The highest degree within Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. We've talked about that a bunch of times on this channel. All I can say is people naturally misunderstand Freemasonry, and as a result, they don't understand the way the degrees work or the hierarchies, so they assume 33rd must be higher degree than the 3rd degree, even though it's not. Albert Pike and a misunderstanding of Albert Pike did not help anything with Moral and Dogma as well. So there's been a few different causes for the buzz, but it misunderstands what Freemasonry is, and it just misunderstands the hierarchy of a Freemason or of a Masonic lodge. A 33rd, it does not have any more power, influence, or control over Freemasonry than a 3rd degree. And in fact, the 3rd degree can have a greater level of power and control if he's, let's say, a Grand Master. Well, I mean, David Thompson, no, Pike did not predict that. That's a hoax. I mean, the tools that Freemasonry provides to build a better world, as I stretch, I mean, part of it is simply a matter of, for lack of a better term, economies of scale, right? What one can do, if you have one person trying to accomplish a task, if you if he's joined by a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth, it gets much easier to accomplish that task, both from an economic perspective and a physical effort perspective, right? So when you join a group, immediately it becomes easier to try to, let's say, fundraise for charitable activities, to help people, to be there for people, right? But the tools in specific, so just the tool of companionship and fellowship creates a better society. It also sets an example that others can follow. To see a Masonic lodge where Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, Hindus, Sikh are all gathered together and all working together to a common goal, that sets the tool of example that the community can use when it's working with its neighbors and its friends. It provides a safety net. So if a brother is looking at, for example, the danger of being homeless or their family being homeless, Freemasonry can step in and help them, which is incredibly valuable and incredibly important. And it helps the whole society because every time a brother is not ending up in on the streets, that means he's not reliant on government services or community services. It protects those for other people. It provides tools of temperance, tools of fair dealing, tools of tolerance, tools of kindness. It provides healthier individuals, right? If you're a Freemason and you're not lonely and you're not isolated, you can absolutely find support from your brethren in those circumstances. And you're more likely going to live longer and be healthier. Um, I think that's the main thing. That's the main benefit and the main tools Freemasonry provides. I'm in a wheelchair because I was born without legs. Depends which church you're talking about. I assume you're talking about the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is against Freemasonry for a few different reasons, but that, keep in mind, is a quote unquote official position. I've known many Catholic Freemasons and been grateful to know many Catholic Freemasons. So, whatever the official position of the church is, that doesn't necessarily apply to individual Freemasons. It does not. I mean, you'd have to go jurisdiction by jurisdiction because every Masonic lodge, depending on what jurisdiction they're a part of, will have a different potential status. But in some cases, they're not for profit, in some cases, they're charitable. It just depends on the lodge itself and the Grand Lodge and how they work it. But I will say, to my knowledge, there's not a single Masonic body anywhere that claims a religious status for taxation purposes. I mean, Freemasonry, when you're talking about addiction, Freemasonry is not a medical order. So if someone is struggling with addiction, they should speak to their doctor. We're not a rehab. What I will say though, look, I have no issue with people who are transgender. I mean, if you have an addiction, I suppose that would not be an addiction to transgenderism, that'd be an addiction to surgeries. But if you're transgender, you're welcome. I have no issue sitting next to a transgender person in my lodge. They are part of society as much as anybody else. David Thompson. I mean, the Odd Fellows is an organization that came after Freemasonry. I forget when. There's a lot of Freemasons who've been Odd Fellows and vice versa. I think for a while in some places, Odd Fellows was considered like an unofficial little brother to Freemasonry. And absolutely, they were a big part of that, without doubt. Like, they borrowed a lot of our symbolism, and I've seen a few Odd Fellow meetings where it looks very similar to Freemasonry, but at the end of the day, they're separate organizations. Um, I don't, is that when it started? I think Oddfellows started later than that. Hold on just one second. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought Oddfellows started closer to the 19th century. The Independent Order of Oddfellows was officially founded in North America on April 26, 1819. While earlier unassociated lodges existed in England as early as the 1730s and 40s, the modern American IOOF recognizes the 1819 Washington Lodge Number 1 inception as its official start. Okay, cool. I did not know that, William Craig. And William Craig, I enjoy Assassin's Creed Part 3. I also play Dead Space and the Resident Evil games. I like those a lot. I did not know that. I mean, I'm not that conversant on the history of the Oddfellows. I will say it's also true that Freemasons organized and owned many orphanages to help sometimes Masonic children or children of, if they had a Masonic father who and mother and they both passed away or whatever it is, the Masonic homes would take in orphans. But sometimes it was just for any orphan, whether you had a Masonic family connection or not. So I don't know what the orphan trains are. Once again, though, I hope everybody's doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Don't forget, I'll be back on at 1 a.m. tonight as well. I have a Masonic meeting I'm going to be going to, but I hope you're all doing good. Nope, that was not the case. I am 18th degree Scottish Rite, yes. Masonic lodges do not have card rooms. I'm assuming you mean just a place where Masons play cards. I mean, no. Masons have refreshment areas where they'll serve food and dinner and maybe sometimes hold events. It's not impossible to imagine some of the Masons gathering together afterwards to play cards. But it wouldn't be for money, it would just be for fun. I mean, look, there's no question that slavery has existed throughout human history. The nature of it and how it looks is different depending on where you're talking about and what cultures you're talking about. But I think in any circumstance, it's not a good thing, and I'm grateful. I was going to say I'm grateful it's a relic of the past, but that's not really true. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of slavery happening around the world. But I hope one day it is viewed as a relic of the past. I mean, because a lot of times Masons like to have music to accompany their ceremonies. It's created a nice kind of atmosphere, a more solemn atmosphere, if you will. Not every lodge has organs, but many do, without a doubt. Well, I mean, George Washington was a Freemason and he owned slaves. That doesn't mean I support slavery, obviously, because I do not. And in fact, to their credit, many Freemasons were involved in both civil rights and the abolition of slavery. I mean, benefits is kind of an interesting way to describe it. It almost sounds like work benefits, which we don't have. Um, I mean, when you say what benefits the benefits you get from joining the Scottish Rite kind of follow in line and just expand upon the benefits you receive as being a Freemason. You get to know more people, you develop more relationships, which is always good. There's more opportunities for charitable giving, including and not limited to the Scottish Rite School for Children with Dyslexia. You learn more about kind of some of the metaphorical or mythical history of Freemasonry. Um, there's an Almoners Fund that you can support, but also if you need assistance, which can help you get through rough times. So there's a lot of reasons and a lot of benefits you get from being part of the Rose Croix. That is true, sheep, that slavery does still exist in the world in various forms, and I think it's incredibly sad. And hopefully, knock on wood, one day it will become a relic of the past. They can be, not the lodges, but the buildings. They can be. There's been many weddings in Windsor, for example, and in Detroit, Masonic Temple, the Scottish Rite Cathedral in Bay City. There have been a ton of weddings in Masonic lodges. I think that's really cool and a really wonderful part of what it means to be in Freemasonry is when our buildings are opened up to the public. I think that's awesome. Michaela, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Keep in mind, that's called the Eye of Providence. That's not an exclusively Masonic symbol, right? So you need to remember that. The idea of the all-seeing eye is not an exclusively Masonic symbol, and it has been part of many cultures. To my knowledge, it has nothing to do with Freemasonry. I don't even think that, I forget if the designer of the dollar bill was or wasn't a Freemason. I used to know that. Hello, Eric Bobby. Thank you for being here. The idea of having weddings is awesome. Yeah, I love it when our buildings are used by the public. I think that's the coolest thing, and I think that makes Freemasonry extra special is when our buildings are part of our communities. For weddings, banquets, vaccine clinics, testing, whatever it might be. I do not know what that means, Mark Roy. I think someone's speaking in Latin. We're going to give this a little bit more time and then we'll end this stream, but I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. Also, you're going to see some more postings of on social media, so make sure to check that out. No, society has nothing to fear from Freemasons. In fact, Freemasonry can make society a better place. Or at the very least, I can say society has nothing to fear from me. Well, that wouldn't be Satan, that would be Lucifer. Some people view them as separate entities, some people view them as the same. I don't think I've ever met any Masons from Norway. I wish I had. Hopefully one day. I think it'd be incredible. I mean, Danielle, I'm sure for a lot of people in Iran, it feels that way. I can only imagine how scared. If I lived in Iran, how scared I would be. I'm sure it'd be terrifying. But we're gonna hope that, we're gonna hope, and we're gonna keep our fingers crossed that in, uh, the um, or keep our fingers crossed that the ceasefire holds and that the people are safe because I think we want everybody to be safe. And that includes Freemasons, right? There is the order of Freemasonry in Iran. Um, Sorry, there is the uh, order. How's it go? The Freemasons of Iran in Exile, which currently meets in Los Angeles. There's a lot of Masonic lodges around Iran, in Lebanon, for example, in Jordan, in Israel. There's Masonic lodges on bases. So you just need to keep in mind and remember that um, it is absolutely the case that Freemasons are in danger as much as everybody else, and we hope for their safety and we hope for the safety of everybody. I meant evil spirits. Again, I don't believe in evil spirits or the paranormal, but I certainly can imagine being in Iran, being very scared. So I just want everybody to be okay. We're gonna give it a bit more time. Wait to see who joins. We'll be ending the stream around 3 hour mark, so another 15 minutes or so. I mean, I don't know the numbers, John. So I need to know more about like some Freemasons do, some Freemasons don't. It just depends on the Mason himself, right? There's no requirement that you do or don't believe in the occult to be a Freemason. Call on to assist in what way? I mean, we're private individuals, we're a private organization. We can't be drafted individually. But I mean, it's not about being called upon. Many Freemasons and Masonic lodges already support and assist in disasters where life and liberty is involved. I mean, during World War II, Masonic lodges collected scrap metal for soldiers. They sent over care packages to Britain as it went through the siege or the Battle of Britain. Um, Recently, Masonic lodges were providing assistance to those affected by the fires in Los Angeles as well as the flooding in Texas, the floods in Alberta a few years ago. Many Masonic lodges supported the Grand Lodge of Ukraine. I mean, it's one of those things where I would say when it comes to supporting the community, Freemasons are very often one of the first ones to provide assistance and provide support and provide help. So, yeah, that's absolutely the case. We don't need to be called upon, we'll just do it naturally. I think Freemasonry puts you in a privileged position to try to help those around you, both on big scales and on small scales. The Masonic Charities Foundation has given millions of pounds to support various types of charities and research. Masonic Medical Research Institute. The number of ways in which Freemasonry has assisted and supported communities is extensive. Um, I think there is good and bad in the world. I think humans create the good and humans create the bad. We don't need demons or the supernatural to be bad. We're quite capable of it. Well, we're quite capable of doing so on our own. Um, it depends how you define callings. Um, I mean, I would say sure. I think Freemasonry can be a calling. Certainly can be a vocation, which for a lot of people would be a type of calling. And it's something for which we should always be grateful we have the opportunity to be a part of. We're going to give it a bit more time. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I am drinking coffee. I love coffee. I think by the Hindu definition of dharma, it would be a dharma. What is dharma? Other than a organization from Lost. Dharma is a foundational, multifaceted concept in Indian religions representing cosmic order, righteousness, duty, law, and virtue. I like that. I think so. I think you could view Dharma and Freemasonry as a type of Dharma. Also, again, I think of Dharma, I think of the TV show Lost, but that's okay. Because I want people to understand that when I'm talking here, I'm talking about Freemasonry, which is religiously and politically neutral. It's apolitical and a-religious. I do. I mean, I think doubt is usually a very healthy approach to take in life. Official, even tort pounder? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what that is. Welcome. I feel like you're being sarcastic a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to end this stream shortly, but I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. to talk more about Freemasonry. Native and Sons. Welcome. Please hit like and subscribe. I mean, I usually have a clue as to what I'm saying. I'm here to talk about Freemasonry. I've been a Freemason for just about 20 years. The purpose of this is to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, for which I'm grateful for the opportunity. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, um, and I hope you're doing well. But I know I got a big forehead. I've grown to accept it. What is fake? Freemasonry? YouTube? What is the fake of which you speak? Well, Neanderthals don't exist anymore, so I don't think they can be a racial slur. But Neanderthals actually were far more intelligent than people appreciate. I think it's unfortunate how many people don't recognize and appreciate just how intelligent Neanderthals were. So what makes you think I'm posing as a Freemason as opposed to not being a legitimate Freemason? By the way, skepticism is not a bad thing. Well, I mean, why would you, in fairness, though, um, why would you Why would you want to get a rise out of people on the internet? I don't understand that. Because it seems like there must be better things to do with one's time than try to get a rise out of people. Well, at this point, I'm done talking about the main points of today, which is going to be about Border Cities Lodge, and I'm just answering questions and hanging out. Honestly, John, that's the healthiest thing to do is use the internet for information and books. Don't get sucked into the drama. You'll drive yourself crazy. I'm not sure if that's the best attitude to take. That's like saying, um, if I'm willing to walk down the road, it's okay for people to yell at me and call me names. Technically, it's true. It's freedom of speech, so long as they're not threatening me. But it's like, why do it nonetheless? We got hearts. I might be smoking a clown back. Have I heard of the Urantia book? I have not. Hello, I didn't call you Die, D-I-E. Hello, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment to hit that like button and that subscribe button. I would be truly grateful. I don't think it is good. I think maybe we don't need to worry about creating thicker skin. We need to worry about creating happier people. Um, I don't know if a thick skin is always the best. And again, we would never accept this stuff in quote unquote real life, right? We would never say, well, if I'm walking onto the street, someone can yell at me and I just need to develop a thick skin. Define weak. I would say weak is someone insulting somebody else to get a rise out of them. I think you and I define weak men very differently. I would say strong men are men, not just strong men for that matter. Strong people are people who support and compliment one another and try to work with one another, not randomly go on the internet and try to get rises out of people. It's a very silly way to live one's life. Freemasonry would not encourage that. Freemasonry encourages the uplifting of people, not the tearing them down, whether it be to create a thick skin or otherwise. Well, the Illuminati don't really exist anymore, at least in any meaningful way, to my knowledge. I'm not saying there aren't groups calling themselves Illuminati. They were started in 1776 by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt. Um, and he was a former Freemason, actually, who left Freemasonry because he thought it was A, too expensive, but also not esoteric enough. A lot of people didn't like that. Also, a lot of people misunderstood and thought it was the same organization because it was a former Freemason. And they started to claim things like the Illuminati had infiltrated Freemasonry, things like that, which is all nonsense. But yeah. Guys with mental insecurities and easy nature being offended. I mean, I would say I don't see the benefit of running around trying to offend people on social media, but all right. Again, would you insult somebody on the street, or are you just comfortable insulting people behind a keyboard where you know you're not at risk of anything happening to you, right? Keyboard warrior is a real thing. The knowledge about the Illuminati. I mean, I don't know everything about the Illuminati, but I know the basics of it. I also know that, again, despite what people believe, they really are not a relevant force in probably for the last 100 years or so. Ah, so you're not the type of guy who's going to, you're not the type of guy who'll insult somebody face to face, but you are the type of guy who'll insult somebody behind a computer screen. Um, what are your opinions on the Iran war? I mean, do you mean currently? I'm grateful that there's a ceasefire. We're going to knock on wood that the ceasefire remains in effect. And I'm grateful if there's no more loss of life on any side. I don't care what side. Um, on the other side of it, I'm think it's very sad that it happened. I hope it doesn't. Well, that's interesting, Native and Sons, because I've known a few cage fighters. Well, I've known a few MMA fighters. Let me refrain. Some of them have had professional fights. Some of them went into kickboxing and in the ring. I always found that they're the type of people who would never, or were the last of the people to insult others. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's bullies and kind of insulting people in every field. But as a rule, in my experience, professional fighters or MMA fighters or people training to be professional fighters were actually very often some of the nicest and coolest people, and weren't trolling people either on social media or off of it. Now, there might be exceptions, and you could be the exception. Um, but in my experience, usually professional fighters are actually incredibly gentle people because they understand the nature of violence. And when you understand the nature of violence, you tend not to be willing to risk it. Um, who started the Iran war, in my opinion? I mean, I'm speaking in my opinion, right? You're asking political questions. Freemasonry is not political, but I think it was started by America. It's pretty obvious. Um, as some will disagree and say it's a continuation of a war that's been going on since, what, 1979, I find that a challenging statement to accept. But it's interesting. I've talked about this before. There was Freemasonry in Iran, throughout much of its history. In 1969, the Grand Lodge of Iran was formed. In 1979, the Freemasonry was exiled in Iran. Maybe as things change in Iran, as the future, as every day, one day into the future, who knows what Iran will look like 10, 20, 30 years from now. Maybe we'll see Freemasonry return to Iran. I know that's a very small priority. What matters right now is that people are alive and able to continue being alive, have the resources and support they need to live good lives. But as someone who loves Freemasonry and would like to see it in different countries in the world that it's not currently in, I would love to see Freemasonry in Iran at some point in the future. I think that'd be really cool to see it return. But that's not the most important thing. I freely admit that. We're going to give this stream a little while longer. What you say Jew kind of insulting. Maybe I'm Jewish, maybe I'm not. What difference does it make? Freemasonry, we have Jewish members, Christian members, Hindu, Sikh. I could be Christian. I could be of the Muslim faith. How do you know what my ethnicity or my religion is? Hello, Ganga Drama. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Jewish people don't need my help to look good. They look fine all on their own. Freemasonry, it's about the internal, not external. It doesn't matter what your race, ethnicity, religion is. If you're a good and honorable person, that's what matter. And I've known a lot of Jewish people. I actually was good friends with several with Jewish people, just like Muslim people, Christian. They're good people. So there you go. It's wow, Native and Sons. You're a very foolish person. I don't think Judaism can be written on somebody's face. That's a very dumb thing to think. Um, did I get? I do not know what that is. Sheep, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. It's not something I talk about. I don't confirm or deny because it's unfortunate that within Freemasonry, there's a lot of anti Semitism about Freemasonry, this belief that Freemasonry is Jewish, a lot of conspiracy theories around it. So I never say whether I am whether I am Jewish or not because it does not make a difference. It's no different. Um, it's no different than if I, for example, went to paint your house and you asked me if I was Jewish. That's irrelevant. The question that matters, the one question that matters, is how good of a painter am I? In the same way, with Freemasonry, if I'm talking about Freemasonry, it doesn't matter whether I'm Jewish or Christian or Catholic or Protestant. What matters is how much I know about Freemasonry, right? That's it. Um, well, why would you do that? That seems unkind. Because it provides validity to the question, and it's a dumb question to ask. Again, it's no different than if I went to paint your house and you asked me if I'm Jewish. And if I answer the question, however I answer it, it implies that it's a valid question, which it's not. If I say no and you hire me, then I'm encouraging your anti Semitism, which is something I shouldn't do. If I say yes and you either don't hire me or hire me, either way, it's me tacitly agreeing to this idea that my religion or ethnicity is relevant to what I'm here for. And it's not. So, um, and it implies, right, if I say whatever I say, it's not a question being asked in good faith. It's a question being asked in bad faith. At best, because people have seen a bunch of conspiracy theory nonsense about Freemasonry and Judaism. It's a way to try to provide tacit support for conspiracy theory, which is baloney. Whether I'm a Jewish person or not is completely irrelevant to being a Freemason. Um, it is not. That's the point, native son. The idea that you think it is the problem, and it means that you've seen a lot of baloney on social media. Freemasonry has nothing, whether you're Freemason or not, has nothing to do with whether you are a Freemason or not. And again, this goes back to this idea of what I said before, which is if you think that it's relevant, it's because you don't understand Freemasonry. If you think it's baloney, tell me everything about what you. I can't tell you everything about what I know about Freemasonry because A, I have 10% battery left, and B, I have to end the stream at some point. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I was initiated into Windsor Lodge number 403. That's my mother lodge. So I've been a Freemason for just about 20 years. I'm currently a member of 5 Masonic lodges. Windsor, Harmony. I'm currently the Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. Um, Also a member of Tranquility Lodge 2000 and Lodge Holy Land number 50. One's out of Texas, one's out of the out of Israel. I've been to Masonic Lodge meetings in North America, South America, England, the Philippines. So 5 countries, 6 countries: Canada, United States, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Colombia, England, Scotland, and the Philippines. So 7 countries. I started Screening Promotions in 2000 to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. That's how I've gained my knowledge. I mean, to go through everything, the Premier Grand Lodge of England was formed in June 24th of 1717, St. John the Baptist Day. The first Grand Master was Anthony Sayer, Sayer. The first speculative Masons were probably the Alexander brothers out of Scotland in 1634. Do you want to go through the ancients and the moderns? Do you want to go through Scottish Rite stuff, York Rite stuff? Like, there's a hell of a lot to talk about. Hello, CD. I hope you're having a great day as well. So I'm not part of an evil organization. I'm not part of an occult organization. I'm not, or maybe maybe I'm not Jewish. It's irrelevant. Well, I mean, we got a Nazi in the chat because the mustache man is a monster and made the world a much worse place. I mean, I don't think the Masons are primarily white Anglo-Protestant. The Masons tend to be whatever the lodge, whatever the community is. So if you're in a community which has, let's say, a majority Hispanic population, the lodge will be historically, the lodge will be majority Hispanic. If you're in a community where where the population is majority black, the lodge will be majority black. If you're in, let's say, Morocco, and the population is majority Muslim, the lodge will be majority Muslim. It reflects the in my experience anyways, it reflects the makeup of the community in which it's located, both ethnically, religiously, socioeconomically. Freemasons haven't been kicked out of everywhere. Freemasons exist in almost every country in the world. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, Pope Leo, I don't think Pope Leo says we're evil, for the record. I also don't think he says we're a cult. But he does say if you're a Freemason, you cannot take Catholic Mass. Or at least that's what the church says. I hope eventually he changes his opinion on that. I do have some hope because he is in some ways a very modern pope. He was born in 1956 in Chicago at a time when Freemasonry was very ubiquitous. So, yes, the Nazi warlocks. It makes me sad to see Nazism still in existence. I thought we got rid of that. You know, I always assumed there'd be a few, but unfortunately, I feel like Nazism is on the rise, and I find that very scary. And I hope that Freemasonry can demonstrate the value of universal tolerance, kindness, and respect, regardless of one's religion or ethnicity. Well, when you talk about leadership, I mean, there's the leadership that runs a building, which is not inherently Masonic leadership. There's also the leadership that is within a so like the worshipful master of the lodge. So again, if your lodge is primarily Hispanic, or if you're in a Masonic, so if you are in a community where it's primarily Hispanic, the worshipful master and leader of the lodge will be Hispanic. When it comes to, usually, when it comes to, however, how a building is run and operated, I can't speak for the leadership therein. That tends to be based on a lot of different factors. I'm not sure if Zionism is on the rise or not. Can you stop with the all caps? It gets annoying. I mean, I would question that a lot. I'm not sure where you're getting that statistic from, unless you're just speaking anecdotally. In fairness, when I talked about the danger of Nazism being on the rise, I was speaking anecdotally based on this channel and what I've seen here, but sometimes anecdotes do matter. Well, he's definitely bitter, but let's leave some of that stuff, the insulting stuff, to the side. Bitterness is usually not a helpful thing, though, as a general rule, just for everybody's advice. I made it back from Amherstburg. I love being in Amherstburg. It was incredible. I've posted some videos about it. I'll be posting more shortly. I think Amherstburg is a really cool town. Really underrated, underappreciated town. So, yeah, I love being there. There's an event happening this weekend I might try to make it to as well. So, a chili cook-off. Would I let a German come over for dinner? I mean, sure. I think when you say a German, you're asking if I would let. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be making this conflagration because not every German. I mean, the German and Nazi is not synonymous. But when you say, would you let a German come over? I'm not quite sure if you're trying to refer to something else. Here's what I would say. If somebody of any ethnicity or background wanted to come over for dinner but had the views the same as yours, I would probably still invite them over for dinner, but I would tell them that they're wrong and their views make the world a worse place. Um, you need to be more inclusive and stop the hate. I don't hate all caps, but I do find it annoying. It just makes the chat harder to read for people. Again, I would let anybody of any ethnicity come for dinner because you can't judge someone's beliefs based on their ethnicity or based on their country of origin. So it'd be like saying, would you let an American come for dinner? It's like, if that's all I knew about them, like, sure, that's fine. I don't know anything else about them, right? If they had what we talk about might depend, you know, what we talk about might depend on if I know their beliefs. He is coming quite a bit unhinged. I would not disagree with you on that one. Well, I mean, judgment is almost it's almost impossible to not judge, right? Like, it's human nature. What I would say, though, is you want to judge not based on external things, like how much money they have or how nice they dress. You want to judge based on their internal qualifications, whether they're a good person or not. And that is going to be true regardless of their race, their religion, or their socioeconomic status, their language, or anything else in between. And please, as always, take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. We'll be ending this stream shortly. I will be back on tonight. I'm telling you, Freemasonry hasn't been involved in anything nefarious. Freemasons are human beings, which means we have nefarious qualities. We're good and we're bad, or we're not all good or all bad. And unfortunately, sometimes the nefarious aspects of human nature win out, even when people call themselves Freemasons. That's just human nature. That would be like saying the Elks, the Moose, right? Like, there have been criminals in all sorts of different organizations. Um, I mean, but Freemasonry as an institution has not. Part of it is because Freemasonry is decentralized, right? There is no single governing Masonic body globally that can be involved in anything nefarious. It would be individual Freemasons. We don't operate in secret. Here I am operating on YouTube right now. Skull and Bones is not involved with Freemasonry. Skull and Bones is a separate organization. They're a fraternity. I believe they're a fraternity out of Yale primarily. So Skull and Bones is real to my knowledge, but the idea that they're Masonic is not real. There could have been some Skull and Bones members who became Freemasons. That wouldn't shock me. But, I mean, there's also Freemasons who became Oddfellows. If you want to be a Freemason, you're not going to get rich and you're not going to get famous, so, or powerful. So you're wrong on all of those accounts, Alamo City Cello. Hello, Hale, welcome back. All right, we're going to be ending this stream because I got 5% left on my phone. I will be back on tonight, though. I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you for joining as always. Please don't forget, take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Consider a super chat. You can do the text to voice speech option if you're going to super chat $2 or more. And I will see you all very soon. Well, native says fake, a bunch of exclamation points. So be it. I don't know if the apostolic church, I don't know what the apostolic church is. I mean, the Catholic Church, which does oppose Freemasonry as a matter of course, but or an official position, if you will. But I know many Catholic Freemasons, or maybe you mean the Orthodox Church. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for being here. Hit like and subscribe.